Welcome to this video where we're looking at the Citizen by Citizen. This watch is called the Citizen, and in the US you may know of it as the Chronomaster. This is a high accuracy quartz watch whose accuracy is just mind-boggling. For example, my SLA 043 has a stated accuracy of about 5 seconds per day. That's pretty good for an automatic watch. My Seiko Spring Drive has a stated accuracy of about, I think, 5 seconds per week or month. It just depends, but I think it's about maybe 10-15 seconds per month if I remember correctly. The Citizen has an accuracy of 5 seconds per year. That's absolutely mind-boggling for a watch. So this is not available in the US, just like Grand Seikos originally were a Japanese only brand, and they only became internationally available in 2011. The Citizen line is only available in Japan. And this is an EcoDrive watch. This is actually not a battery operated watch. So let's get a sense of how much charge is in this. Let's get a toothpick. This is kind of hard to do under a camera. So yeah, as you can see, this has about 75% battery right now, charge, because at the 3 o'clock mark, that's how you know it has a full charge. And this really is, for all practical purposes, Citizen's version of the Grand Seiko. It has the same Zaratsu polishing that Grand Seiko is very famous for. It has the same fabulously sculpted hands. The brushed finish on the minute and the Dauphine hands with the sharp knife bevel is very similar to the quality that you see in Grand Seikos. The second hand obviously has an anti-backlash mechanism, which means it falls right on the marker. There is no inaccuracy whatsoever. In fact, just like a Grand Seiko, Citizen only produces there's only six workmen at the Citizen factory in Japan who are qualified to make the high accuracy Citizen watches. Citizen does not make a lot of these every day. You can only imagine how many watches 6 people can make in a day. These are hand assembled. They're not machine assembled, just like a Grand Seiko. So whenever you look at a Citizen, the Citizen, you have to think of it as essentially a Grand Seiko. In terms of finish, it has the exact finish that my Grand Seiko has. In fact, you would realize they are really, it's in fact quite staggering how similar they are. That same milled clasp, exact same level of fit and finish. There is one place where the Citizen actually has the Grand Seiko beat. Now, if you look at my Grand Seiko, you would realize that the case at the back is not aligned with the axis of the watch. It's actually slightly rotated. The Citizen, on the other hand, is perfectly aligned. It's exactly along it's kind of hard to see, but it's exactly along the 12 to 6, the vertical axis of the watch. Absolutely mind-boggling the quality that this watch has. This watch, I wouldn't say, really has the exact same quality a Grand Seiko watch has. But then it has some things that a Grand Seiko watch does not have. So you may be familiar with the 9F line of Grand Seiko quartz watches. I actually don't have a 9F Grand Seiko watch because I already have a Citizen. But this has a perpetual calendar, which means You don't need to adjust its calendar ever. This knows when the leap year is, it knows what date it is, what month it is, and there are ways of setting that, and I can show you how to do it. It has the famous Citizen Eagle logo. Let's see if we can focus on it. With the C in at the center of the thing, and you can also see as a sign dial. It's kind of hard to get a focus. Let me see if I can get a focus. There you can see that signed dial. I mean the signed crown. Absolutely beautiful. I think if you were to compare it to the Grand Seiko crown, yeah, I think it actually beats the Grand Seiko crown on the level of detail. The Grand Seiko crown actually looks kind of not as sharp. It looks kind of well, I just can't get the focus right now, so bear with me. You see how the edges of the Grand Seiko crown aren't as sharp as the edges of the Citizen, the branding, the logo on this crown. There really is something that Citizen managed to do with this watch that they truly deserve credit for. In terms of design, this is a small watch because it is a dress watch. It's 37.5 millimeter from say the 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock, and the lug to lug is about 46. But remember, the lugs are kind of flat, they don't curve down, so it wears slightly larger than it would appear. The blue dial, this is a very rare color, and that's really why I got this, because most examples of this you'll find with the washi paper version, which just seems to be very popular in the US for some, I guess, all those folks who like the Grand Seiko Iwate or the various textured dials. There's a trend towards people buying textured dials, but I think that's just a fad. So Citizen also has its version of the textured dial, which has a piece of paper under a plastic dial, but this is not that. This is just a very beautiful dark grayish blue dial, which looks almost a deep blue when there is no light falling on it, and when light falls on it, the sunburst effect gives it a grayish blue look, and that's just exquisite, as you can see. The anti-reflective coating on the sapphire crystal is obviously in a league completely, is really in the Grand Seiko league. You don't even realize that there's a crystal on the watch. It's just so clear. Now, with the one point that I should make about high accuracy quartz watches is that, you could get, for example, a radio controlled watch like this. And this would be very accurate because it gets the signal every day. But what a high accuracy quartz does is it's completely autonomous. It is not dependent upon a radio signal to get its accuracy. In this domain, there is really nobody who can match a Citizen when it comes to accuracy. The Grand Seiko 9F movement has a stated accuracy about 10 seconds a year, even though I believe some people get slightly better accuracy than that. But this Citizen is really at 5 seconds. The only thing that beats this is another Citizen movement, the A001, which I think has an accuracy of 1 second a year. This is the A0060, I think the 060 movement, which is their latest version of their high accuracy quartz movement. The predecessor to this was the 010. It has, on a fully charged, if you can fully charge the battery inside, it can stay in a standby mode for up to a year and a half. That is just, it's really a watch that's designed to be worn every day. It's not a watch like an automatic watch that you buy and you wear it like a few times a month or a few times a year. This is a daily wearing watch. And there's a reason in Japan people Grand Seiko still sells more quartz watches than it does automatic watches. Now, for viewers in North America, in America and Europe, may be surprised to hear that, because in Europe and America, only thing that seems to sell are automatic watches. But you have to understand, Japanese culture is all about precision. From a practical perspective, in Tokyo, you will miss your train if your watch were to lose 5 to 10 seconds every day. It just doesn't work. In fact, I know from my own experiences, I have missed a train for a week that I wore an automatic watch because I just didn't realize how much time the watch was losing. And after a week, that watch had lost a minute, which was exactly the duration that I missed the train by. Now, why did I get this watch? Why didn't I get a Grand Seiko Quartz, the 9F movement? Well, if you want a quartz watches are all about technological superiority. They have always been about technological superiority. There's just no two ways about it. And the new Grand Seiko movements do have a perpetual calendar, but traditionally the 9F movement has never had a perpetual calendar. And the fact that because this is an eco drive movement, which means you can easily expect a 20-year battery life before you need to even deal with the battery, if at all. Because after 20 years, it loses about 20% of its capacity. So you never need to send this watch in for servicing. In fact, Citizen is so confident about its watch that they give this a 10-year warranty. You know for a fact a 10-year warranty means Citizen knows that they'll never have to deal with the warranty repairs on this watch. There's one thing that I want to point out is, unlike the Grand Seiko, which has a mirrored polished chapter ring, as you can see, the Citizen has this beautiful circumferential brushing on the bezel inside that just gives it such a level of elegance that it's a very unique elegance that the Citizen has. Final impressions. Well, if you have to buy a quartz watch, I don't think there's really, like, you wanted a high-end luxury quartz watch, there is really no competition in that sector. You just have to get a Citizen. I know there are people who like a Grand Seiko, but I actually would not buy a Grand Seiko anymore, primarily because I belong to a school of people who liked Grand Seikos when they used to be Seiko Grand Seikos, where it was just a Seiko watch that was produced to an insanely high level of performance, fit, and finish. Since Grand Seikos are now very blingy with their fancy dials and all sorts of limited editions, I find myself more drawn to a stealth, high quality watch that the Citizen watch is. Whereas, I'm maybe Instagram folks are the ones who seem to be buying Grand Seiko watches these days. So the Citizen is definitely not as blingy as a Grand Seiko, but it is completely the same level of fit and finish. It's really a Grand Seiko in terms of fit and finish. It's better than any Rolex or Omega that I've ever handled in terms of the quartz watches from Rolex and Omega. And yes, you'll be surprised, but Rolex and Omega still make quartz watches. And the other reason that this has a really great trick is, I know this will kind of spoil my minute hand alignment, but let's do it. In fact, Citizen tells you to move the crown from time to time just because the crown never gets moved in this watch. So in order to prevent dirt and corrosion happening on the crown, their manual tells you that once in a while, just be sure to move the crown. This obviously has an independently adjusting hour hand, which means you can change the hour hand as you move from different time zones without needing to change the second hand, which is just a very useful feature to have. And obviously hacking, the usual stuff nothing much to add out there. Anyway, that's it for my review of the Citizen high accuracy quartz, the Citizen. Please be sure to hit like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on another video.